to galactic scale models. This is the first update on the MPC Falcon build. I've been working on it for a few weeks now. This build's actually for a friend. It's not for my collection. It's something that I promised him to do a while back. So some of the issues that I've been having with this kit, obviously it's a 40-year-old kit, 40-plus-year-old kit. You know, even though round 2 is repopped it, the majority of this kit is still 40 years old. So, you know, the fit is 40 years old. So it's a little bit difficult to dry fit some of it, especially the cockpit. I find that the fit around the cockpit has been pretty bad. You know, I wish they would have addressed some of that. So some of the issues I'm trying to fix, you know, as much as I can. Obviously, like I said, it's a 40-year-old kit. The engine deck, I'm basically replacing the vent covers, and there's actually some vent fans that go behind them as well. You'll see that in some of the pictures that I'll flash up here. These are modification parts from Tony RR on Shapeways. The parts themselves are really nice. I've not been too impressed with Shapeways though. It seems like every order that I've had come from Shapeways has had some kind of an issue. Either the part is broken or the print isn't actually that great. So I think I've ordered 3 or 4 different sets of parts from Shapeways, and I've had to have reprints on every one of those orders. The latest was the cockpit replacement set, which includes a nose cone for the cockpit, and that actually came smashed and broken. They tried to blame it on the shipping, and I'm like, well, the box isn't smashed. The box is fine. You guys just didn't let the part cure, or you put it in the packaging too tight, and it smashed it. So that's been a little frustrating. I've had other people tell me Shapeways is kind of a pain in the butt to deal with, so I guess I'm not that surprised. So the first mod that I did was the vents, so those are all cut out. Basically, I took a small drill in my Dremel, drilled out basically the shape of each vent, and then went in there with my nippers and kind of got down to just the thinnest piece of plastic that I needed to cut through, and then I finished it off with an X-Acto blade, and then I cleaned up the inside with a combination of the sanding bits on my Dremel tool, and I also had a large diameter piece of brass rod that I wrapped in sandpaper, some high grit, high grit, low grit, some coarse grit, I guess you would say, sandpaper, just to kind of clean it up, and then progressively got smaller and smaller, of course. And so they're pretty cleaned up. I'll have to do some fitting when I'm ready. You'll see a picture where the vents are actually in there. They're just taped in there and kind of snug fit, and obviously they're crooked. So when I go to put them in there in the end, I'll make sure they're actually straight. Straight in line with what they're supposed to be. The second mod that I was doing is the louvers that are on the back end of the engine, which is a little bit more involved. You have to sand off quite a bit of the detail on the back end of the ship, on both sides, on the top and the bottom. So for those, I just took my nippers and got a majority of the meat of those parts off, and then used the sanding drums on my Dremel to kind of get it down to where I wanted it, and then I'll go back over each one of those panels with some really thin sheet styrene just to cover it, make it all smooth again. So that's kind of a work in progress. And then the final thing that I've been working on is the lighting. So I've got 2 effects that I think I'll run. One is the failed engine start. And the other is the Mos Eisley takeoff. So I put a video at the end of this that has that second effect, and it's actually there's actually should be a picture in here too of the mock-up lighting box that I'm making. So you'll notice in the video there's lots of light bleed That should go away. The lighting box I'll make out of black styrene and then insert in there. I've also ordered a piece of, I think it was 3/16 acrylic. I could be wrong about that, but it's milky white acrylic, which is, I guess, what ILM used back in the 70s. So in the video, I've got just some really thin styrene sheet just as a stand-in for light diffusion. The part that came with the kit was very toy-like, and it's blue, which it's not the right color blue, so it looks awful. And the other thing you'll notice is that shadow in the center. That's actually gone now. I've taken that whole mounting pillar out, and then I've also trimmed off. You'll see little teeth at the bottom too. That was for the original. I assume the original plastic light diffusion that was there. So those have been cut off, so you can't actually see those anymore. But you'll see a picture in here of the box, and inside of that box is neopixels. They're not super bright right now because they are running off their Arduino board. When I go to build the actual PCB for this, I'll have each one of those strips will get a true 5 volts. Even though the output on the Arduino board says 5 volts, it can't actually distribute that much power. So I found it's best to have each component get raw power or control the power. So the sound effects board and the amplifier and those LEDs are all running off the Arduino board, which is probably not giving it a true 5 volts. So in the final version, they'll get a drop. Those LEDs, those neopixels, will get a clean 5 volt drop off the voltage regulators. So it should be plenty bright. And also, I'm not running those at full power either. There's 12 neopixels in there. They've each got 3 LEDs, so there's quite a lot of power being drawn, plus the amplifier, plus the Adafruit sound effects board. The Arduino will only pump so much power out, so it's a little bit too much for it. So when you're testing and making sure things work, you've got to kind of tone it back, and that's what I've done here. So that's it for today, and then while you're watching this, I'll have some pictures playing, and then right after it, there'll be a short video of the Falcon video SFX sound effects combination. So I'll talk to you next time.